Good evening. Today my presentation is going to be on propaganda and how it's woven into the fabric of fascism. When we when we start thinking about fascism, uh, we have two countries that usually come to mind as Germany and Italy. But we look at the the how they got there and the use of propaganda. And propaganda was the tool that both countries used effectively to control their society. Um, Germany used it more or less, I would say, in a better aspect than Italy did itself. And propaganda, which we say has always been around and still around. Some today may dub it fake news, but in the early 20th century, leading into World War One and Two, these two countries in particular used propaganda to pretty much uh, facilitate control. And I said Germany used it more or less in a better aspect than Italy, is because everything that Germany did was control, and everything that they learned was control. And I would say controlled by one individual, which was the Minister of Propaganda, Joseph Goebbels, for Germany. Pretty much after the Nazis seized power in 1933, Goebbels propaganda ministry uh, took over everything that was information led to the people, from newspapers, television, radio, to include movies. Germany and Italy both made a lot of propaganda movies, and like I said earlier, you start thinking about propaganda, you think about all these countries that had dictators like Italy, Germany, uh, Russia, Spain, but propaganda was also used by the U.S., not in the matter that it was used for dictatorship in the countries of Europe, but as we know, propaganda is used to to control the mindset of people if it's being used effectively. Um, Fascism in Italy and Germany wouldn't be possible without propaganda. Propaganda was the drive that elevated these countries into its origin of fascism. When we look at fascism in particular, you know, Germany and Italy will commonly be associated with it. But as you know, fascism was I would say widely spread throughout Europe, but in different shape or fashion. And fascism could also be found as far as Argentina. Right? It's all tailored to what that country, I would say, what that the not the mindset, but the situation in which that country finds itself. But today, I'm going to be comparing more or less Germany and Italy. When we start talking about fascism, when we look at Italy in the earlier 20th century, Italy itself was what's the word I'm looking at? A liberal state with civil rights, and it had a liberal constitution. But all that changed after World War One, which brought a lot of change across Europe itself. Germany wouldn't have found itself in the situation it was in, nor would have Italy. And fascism grew basically off the situation that both of these countries found themselves in. And I would say, unfortunately, the Versailles Treaty was part of the cause of it. And when you're looking at the Paris Peace Conference, Italy Prime Minister Vittorio Orlando, he left the conference early because Italy did not get the territory promised to them after the war. And that case, the territory that it was promised was part of the main source of raw materials that they were supposed to get to sustain their country. So all that had to take the backseat for a different plan. As we look at fascism, a lot of people might want to know why was it so appealing. If you look at it closely, it was very appealing because looking at both countries, they were down to their wits. You're talking about starvation, no job, country lost all its status that it had before the war. So when you start preaching nationalism, you start preaching economy growth, you start preaching about territorial expansion. All that sounds appealing because when you go without, those things sound very appealing. When you're hungry and you've been promising that job and food will be available, all that sounds appealing. But especially for the wealthy class, fascism appealed to them because you look at Germany and Italy, they both fear communists. And one of the communist things that the wealthy felt was that under communists, they would lose control of what we say their businesses. They would have no control whatsoever. And without that control goes the wealth. So a lot of the middle class joined the Nazis because of that. And on the other hand, and you start talking about territorial expansion, it gives room for new natural resources that helps the economy, that helps the growth of jobs in different aspects. Italy itself, when you say fascism was a combination of authoritarian and conservatism. But on Germany's hand, it was more a total dictatorship in Germany versus Italy. Italy, the church, the military, all that still had its uh, previous power. But Germany, on the other hand, everything was controlled by the Nazi government. As we know it also that both countries wanted a government that had control or more or less law and order. And um, Mussolini and Hitler uh, had different elements in place to control that. The Nazis had the brown shirts, and Italy had the black shirts, and the black shirts and the brown shirts, you know, they would attack anything that went against their regime, especially communists. What I found to be very interesting between the two countries that they had a very high influence on the youth. For example, the youth in Germany at first was all volunteer, and soon after that, membership was mandatory. As of Italy, children was, encouraged to turn in their teachers or even their parents if there wasn't confinement to the rules of the regime, which made Germany a true totalitarianism, which Italy never sort of reached, kind of which made Hitler more successful than Mussolini, because Italy never reached the point of true totalitarianism regime. Mussolini never became all powerful like Hitler did because he did not control every aspect of, of Italy. And the other thing that I found that kind of separated the two was um, Italy did not conduct any ethnic cleansing, we would say, against any Jews and terrorists, Nazis entered Italy, which, when you look at the similarity between the two regimes, that is one that kind of set them apart, because Germany itself, it's worse, I would say, um, persecution was of the Jews. By the end of 1934, most Jewish lawyer, doctor, professional, civilian service all lost their jobs, right to participate in the profession, and all was driven out to the concentration camps. About 6 million European Jews were eventually killed during World War II. The final solution of numbers probably would never be accurate, but that is the worst part of the war that will forever stain Germany's image.